What's up, team? Oh, welcome to the staff video. Yeah, I heard some of you. You said it. Update. We've had a busy couple weeks. I can't think of a time in Cedar Creek's history where we've gone up 1,000 or close to 1,000 people 2 consecutive weeks in a row. If you think about our average attendance, which was over last year, headed into Halloween weekend, we were, we went up about 800 to 1,000 people in physical attendance for Halloween weekend, for Halloween weekend at Cedar Creek. And then we went up another 1,000 people last weekend, 1,300 in physical attendance. That's amazing. I mean, White House brewed 70 gallons of coffee, 70 gallons. That is, well, how many 5-gallon buckets? Oh, Brian already gave the number. I think, what is that? Like 5? No, more than that. Like 10 to 12, 50, I don't know, somewhere in there. You can see I'm really good with numbers. We ran out of popcorn at most of our campuses. I was setting up chairs like the good old days in the auditorium. For those of you that have been around Cedar Creek, you remember the big push or the big invite that we would do every fall, and we would do around Easter, and we would advertise and we would mobilize our church and we would encourage them to invite, and people would, and we would see a few hundred, maybe 1,000 more than the week before. When we launched campuses, we would see 1,000 people, right? That's great. But right now, this is our current invite strategy. And what's so amazing is hearing some of the new stories. In fact, if you haven't shared them as a staff, hit pause right now, take a few minutes and celebrate progress. Celebrate some of those stories of life change or first-time guests or people inviting friends that you've heard over the last few weeks. All right? So what do we do now? Well, I know we've got a lot of holes to fill, and we've done a great job decorating. Andy, I know it's your favorite, and we've got more people coming, and we've got, I am new cards rolling in, maybe more than we thought. We got to pack bags for this weekend. We got to get the building clean. We got to make sure our rosters are full. All of that is really valuable. And so I have a couple things that I just want to share with you in the midst of this season to not lose sight of. Now is a great time to vision cast or to reach out to your inactive team and say, hey, now is an incredible opportunity to be a part of making a difference. We're seeing growth and momentum, and so your presence is super valuable. Just want you to know you're making a difference. And if life has gotten busy and it's just been a minute since you've been engaged, we could really use your help at the weekend, making a difference in whatever area you're at. Don't be afraid to leverage the momentum that we have to kind of grow the size of your team in this season. In fact, that's critical. The size of your team actually determines the size of the growth that you can expect to see in the future. Small team, small growth. Bigger team, more capacity for growth. And so be leaning into that. The second thing that I would encourage you to pay attention to is your follow-up. Now, I know we all have more to-dos than we can probably fully get done in any one given day. If you're like me, I feel like I'm ending the day leaving a few things off the table or not quite done yet. But Luke Shortridge recently shared an article with our leadership team from Dan Reiland, one of his leadership mentors. And Dan talked about the importance of follow-up. Follow-up ultimately is not just a tedious task that we're asked to do in order to get things into rock. That is important, but follow-up is ultimately our system for follow-up is a way that we actively demonstrate that people matter to us, even if they don't return our phone call. That's right. Just because you're not hearing back from them doesn't mean it doesn't matter. Now, hearing back from people is awesome, but how we follow up with people who email or reach out is critical in them continuing to experience that you matter vibe that people talk about in our community. It's a part of our brand trust, not just our brand, but the way in which people are willing to trust us. Here's what he says. Follow-up is a demonstration of integrity. It means you do what you say you're going to do. And I think integrity is really important for all of us, but it's also critical for people who are skeptical of the church, skeptical of God, that we demonstrate some integrity, that we're going to follow up when we say we're going to follow up. Also, follow-up is an expression of your promise or your statement, your brand, what he would call brand promise, that you actually matter. Like if somebody checks a box or sends an email and they never hear back from us, when they're reaching out for some question or whatever, or even given like maybe an apology if it's late, but like they never hear from us, then that doesn't really build more trust. It feels like a promise that's broken. Follow-up is also the beginning of something new and sometimes special. It's amazing to discover God's surprises when we're faithful with these little things. And oftentimes some of those follow-ups play a role in people deciding on whether or not they're going to come back, whether they're going to lean in a little bit more. So keep that in front of you. Follow-up communicates that someone is valuable to you. So you look at them and you're like, oh, okay. It communicates that you matter, statement that we love to use so much. And the truth is, follow-up can oftentimes be a next step or an open door for somebody else's spiritual growth. It gives you the opportunity to help someone if they're in need, or encourage them to take another step in their journey. And so if you need to take a few minutes just to think through, hey, like, how am I following up? What are my systems for following up? Where are you putting that in your calendar? And how can you, as effectively as possible and as personally as possible, make sure that we're responding to people when they reach out to us or when they fill out a card or whatever. So if you want, take a few minutes as a campus team if you need to talk about that, or take a few minutes to evaluate, how am I doing on my follow-up? Are there some emails or some responses or messages that I need to get back to? I know I don't always get it right either. But the more we stay kind of disciplined in this season, I think we're going to continue to see God and people lean into the adventure with us. All right. So keep up the great work. Can't wait to see what happens in week 2 of At the Movies. And this weekend, I'm really excited for people to watch. So come this weekend and you'll see what the movie is all about.